Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends retro carded Wolverine in the blue and yellow suit. We're going to do a question of the day right away. Are you guys fans of the blue and yellow suits, or are you not? For me personally, I prefer like the cartoon look, the Jim Lee look, where they all have their unique costumes, but I do also have a certain soft spot. That's a weird saying, isn't it? A certain soft spot for the blue and yellow suit, so I'm actually kind of excited to get these figures. So let me know what you think about that. This figure has some new stuff going on, and some old stuff going on, and some good stuff, and some bad stuff. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about, we'll say 14.5 centimeters, not counting his hair flips. That's going to make him roughly, I'll say 5 3/4 inches. That should be pretty close to where his skull would end for scale purposes. Here he is up against everyone's favorite, whatever you want to call him. He's a little bit shorter. I think that's an appropriate scaling. Could Wolverine be even shorter? Yes, but I'm fine with him just being shorter than average. I don't think it needs to be the tiny version he started out as. So that's going to make him about 0.8 Darwins, I would say. All right, now as far as I can tell, I didn't go checking things specifically. This is just from memory. Old. This is old. I believe the shoulders are old. I don't think we've seen these pinless arms for Wolverine before, so I believe these are new. And these legs are definitely new because they're like Cyclops' legs, but short and stumpy for Wolverine. And then the hands are old. So there's some good stuff and some bad stuff here. This body, it's okay. It definitely suits Wolverine well enough. I think the biggest drawback, we're going to do the aesthetic, by the way. That's what we're doing right now. The biggest drawback is just the connection for the shoulders. It's fine when he has the shoulder pads on. It hides the tiny shoulders, but right here, they're just right there for you to see. He does have small shoulders. His shoulder is actually smaller than his bicep, and that's just not a thing for muscly people. The shoulder is way smaller than the bicep tricep put together. It's just all around too small, and the connection looks kind of awkward. When you pose him, that won't be a big deal, but it is something to note. I do think the new legs are good. I like the stumpiness. They are appropriately scaled, roughly. I will check officially as we do the articulation, but it looks like the upper legs are nicely scaled with the lower legs. That's good. Arms are pretty well done. Maybe they're a touch long, but on a short guy like this, I think that's, it's okay. It's not too bad. It looks pretty good overall. The paint job is pretty half-assed. It's not good. It's like the only paint job on this figure is the blue to yellow transition, and it's just sloppy. It's not horrible. From a distance, you probably won't notice, but it is fuzzy in some spots. So yeah, it could be a lot better, but mostly it's just molded plastic. There's no shading anywhere, so that's not going to be a good draw for people who want them to look like collectibles as opposed to just very plasticky toys. So yeah, it's not bad. It's okay. The belt is very glossy. It's kind of weird, and it's a very in-your-face big belt, but whatever. Okay, let's talk about a good thing and then two bad things. The good thing is this guy does come with some good Wolverine heads. I do believe the one is a reuse, but maybe it's not. I can't remember anymore. Either way, they're good. And they do have that new kind of weird printing technology that they use to get a really good paint job on there with no crooked lazy eyes or anything. And it looks good. I'm perfectly okay with these Wolverine heads, and the paint job on there is nice. I'm very pleased with that. The head does sit poorly. It's very much a lollipop situation, which is not good because if you put it back all the way so that the chin is touching the neck, the head's clearly too high off the body. It looks weird. Then if you put it forward, which gets the head to basically the right height, give or take, it's actually sticking forward like he's hunched. So it doesn't really work. They need to stop doing the lollipop thing. There's no reason for that amount of a gap. Well, I can tell you the reason, honestly. I don't know why they haven't changed this. Well, I do, actually. Okay, so the reason is they used these ball pegs, and they've decided to make this a universal thing so that basically every Marvel Legends figure uses this ball peg. It's too big. Because you have such a big ball peg that goes into the head, and there's not that much meat in the head to put that ball peg, the head has to sit pretty proud. It has to sit very high in order to accommodate that ball peg. That's why in the line I'm designing, the peg that goes into the head is relatively small, and then you have a big peg down here which gives you all of your range. That small peg allows you to get that head closer to the body, because you don't have that 1/4 inch or whatever it is of plastic. That's probably more than 1/4 of an inch of plastic that you have to fit in the top of the skull. So that's why they have a lollipop situation that they can't really do anything about. They need to move away from that ball peg, but they're kind of kind of bought into that at this point. So yeah, the lollipop situation is not great. We already talked about the shoulders. These hands and claws, does anybody like these? The claws don't even line up with the little things, the thingies, the little tubers on his hands that the claws are supposed to be coming out of. It looks so crappy. And the claws don't ever peg in straight. They're not bent. They just, because you have to peg them in because they're removable, they never line up the way they're supposed to. This hand is particularly jacked up. I don't know what's going on here. They're atrocious. And we have much better claw hands and much better claws. So to me, that's a big fail. And then lastly, it's a little thing, but it's kind of a weird thing. His feet are very straight. They're shaped like he's wearing Crocs. Let me grab the box. I left it handy this time. Most of the time in comics, we see feet shaped something like this, unless it's a Rob Liefeld comic. Sorry, Rob Liefeld. He's not watching, but it's this look mostly, give or take. But what Hasbro's been doing a lot lately, and it's not only this, but we get these feet where they actually look like the character is wearing socks, which is what Darwin's is. It looks like straight up socks. Or we get these ones where they're not quite pointy enough and they're very wide, so they look like Crocs. If you brought these in a little bit, made them a little bit narrower and a little bit pointier, it would look so much better. It looks like duck feet. It's very strange that they keep doing that, which is another strange thing to bring up. This isn't really this figure's a good example, but we have a very realistic, relatively speaking, a very realistic face and head sculpt, right? That doesn't look like a cartoon. It doesn't look like some kind of stylized version. That's a fairly realistic look. Then the bodies have these relatively blocky, simplified looks, and then we have details on the bodies like the feet that aren't realistic at all. It's a really weird design concept, I guess you could say. It's very strange the way Hasbro does stuff, but I'm going on a lot because this figure has brought up a few interesting topics, I think, and hopefully you guys like the conversation, and I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Anyway, we'll just wrap it up. Aesthetically speaking, the body is fine. Heads are good, 7 out of 10. It's nothing special. I do like the stumpiness, but it's nothing really special. Okay, accessory-wise, which is kind of weird that we get these alternate hands that are fist hands, even though we have fist hands with removable claws. Why? If you're gonna give us fist hands anyway, then use hands that have better claws that aren't removable and ugly. That's such a weird thing. Or give us alternate hands that are like open hands or something. But giving us 2 sets of fist hands is just strange, and also they're not even good fist hands. Okay, and then we do get an alternate head, which is more or less the same head, just with an angry expression, and I think that's a pretty good expression. I'll take it. The only gripe I really have about these heads is the way the little hair tufts on the very front of his head just kind of lay flat rather than sticking out just a little bit. I think that would look nice, but you know, that's not a big deal, obviously. So very nice heads, lousy hands, 5 out of 10 for accessories. Okay, let's talk about the articulation. We already talked about the head a little bit in the aesthetic, but he can look up nicely. So if you want to lean him forward like that, you can do that. It's still weird because of how high it sits on that ball peg. So even when the ball peg is all the way back, the head sits up and his chin is like in line with his neck, and his neck is just huge. So that's very strange. But you can look down also, of course, because of the lollipop. That is also weird. Then, of course, you get your rotation and your unnatural leaning. Butterfly joint on this guy. I remember it working better than this. They do go forward some, but not a ton. Like, it definitely could be better. And then going back, I don't know what the deal is. They don't really want to go back very far. So that's weird. Shoulders, they get up to better than horizontal, so that is all right. You get your full rotation. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow, I'm guessing, not going to work very well. All right, that's mostly using one joint. Yeah, there's no better way around it. The way they did this, they put there's no pin, obviously, because it's pinless, but there is still technically a pin going through there. A pin in here is too far back, so when you try to bring it up this way, it can't go anywhere. So you only have this. You're only going to get about 90 degrees out of that elbow, which is pretty lousy. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge, of course. Ab crunch does go back all right, doesn't look super pregnant, so that's okay. Goes forward, that's pretty good. I'll take that. You do have a waist twist. The belt is a little bit floaty, so that'll be fine. Very nice forward kick on those thighs. They don't really kick out too far to the side, so you get plenty of range there. That's nice. I would have liked it if they didn't have the thighs sticking out so far where they meet the hip. you know, just trim this down a little bit. That would be good for the aesthetic, and it would also be good for this, because the way they have these pivoting, you can't get the legs out better than 90 degrees. 90 degrees total, 45 each. That's terrible. Look, you can see how they suck in when you do this. The outside of the leg sucks in rather than rotating where it is. The pivot point is in the wrong spot, and the legs are too fat up here, so that's just wrong. That's just bad. Thigh, they don't go back at all. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee. Let's see how this works out. It's pretty good, and you can see, I mean, obviously it's not a perfect scientific measurement here, but you can see that the bottom of the foot basically lines up with the top of the hip, and that gives you the proper leg proportions. Foot and shin should be the same as the overall femur, the thigh bone. So that's pretty good. I like that. That does look nice. And they do have a better overall leg shape on these new legs too, so that's cool. You do get your boot swivel. I hate that it's under the straps. It would look so much better if it included the straps, but whatever. And then for the ankles, they go all the way back, pretty far forward, and you do get a decent enough ankle rocker that can be assisted with that swivel, so that's pretty good. Articulation-wise, it's not bad. Definitely could be better in a few spots, but I'll take it. I'll give it an overall 8 out of 10. Most everything on this figure works. Definitely could be better. We could get a 9 if those butterflies worked and if the head didn't have a lollipop and if we had better elbow range. But otherwise, it's solid. I'll take it. The hips, you know, they could be better. So, okay, time for the final verdict. This ended up being a long video. Hopefully you guys like a little bit more of a technical look. I'm assuming, since you're watching my channel, you do. And so my ramblings are maybe not falling on deaf ears. We'll see. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Time for the final verdict. I personally enjoy this figure. I like the blue suit. The lines are clean enough that I don't hate it personally. The heads are nice. The overall body look is nice. I think it's a fine purchase. Not counting the price point. If you include the price point, it's just not good enough. Nothing Hasbro produces really is worth what they cost. So I'm just gonna give it a 7. It's fine. They have to really make a solid, nice figure for me to be pleased at the current prices. I don't remember what, because they're also inconsistent. I'll put a note in the video. I don't remember what these were. I think they were 27 bucks. I think they were 27 bucks for this wave, and again, it'll be a thing up there telling you what it actually was. But this is just not worth 27 bucks. But that notwithstanding, I'm giving it a 7. It's fine for Marvel Legends standards. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day, 6 days a week, every day but Wednesday. And I have thousands of videos already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.